Alright guys, so here it is. This build has been a long time coming. I'm super pumped on how it turned out. So I'm going to make this video is going to be a little bit longer than normal, so I'm going to do a normal traditional bike check like I did for all my other videos, and then I'm going to tell you the story about this bike because it's got a lot of story to it. So here's the objective side of it. So the objective side of it is this is a 2014 Trek Ticket S R-Dog Special Edition frame. So it's a kind of a custom build, a little bit of a custom paint on it. I had to change some stuff up on it due to the way I got the frame. It's a pretty basic build. So I try to build it pro level and make it as nice as possible. So it does have a RockShox Pike DJ fork on a set of custom built wheels. So this is a set of I9 Hydra hubs, DT Swiss competition double butted spokes, and spank rims on Bontrager G0 tires. So this is the Hydra hub with the insane engagement on it. The wheel set is insanely fast. Like when you ride and just cruising around and put power down to it, it's crazy how fast it spins up. Cranks are SRAM XO1 carbon cranks with some NS Radiance pedals. It's got an MRP 28 tooth wave ring. I don't know if you guys remember these when this first came out a while back, but it had the gear ratio I wanted. I do have it run as a single speed, so I've got it run with a 13 tooth cog and a Yes downhill single speed tensioner. The cockpit's pretty basic. I wanted to keep the weight down on the bike, so it's a Bontrager Covey carbon saddle, a Bontrager carbon seat post. I do have a quick release lever in there because I like it. Brand new Fox Float Evol canister. And then for the cockpit up front, I've got a Profile helm stem. So this is part of Profile's Elite stuff. The machining on it's a lot nicer. It's a really, really nice piece. I have that with a Cane Creek 40 headset on a set of Deity high side 50 millimeter rise bars, and finished off with a Guide RSC set of brakes. The rotor I did is a small rotor, so I did a 140 mil rotor with it in the two piece. So I thought this was a pretty slick setup. It looks good. Overall, guys, this bike is hilariously fun. I've had this build kind of in mind for a long time, and I built this bike to kind of do it all and have fun doing it. So it's 24 pounds done and finished, and I built this bike for racing dual slalom, riding dirt jumps, and bike parks. So stuff like Valemont in Colorado, or the rail yard down in Arkansas, or the new Eureka mountain bike park, and then we've got some really neat stuff going in St. Charles County. This bike was kind of designed just to be a do it all, play it all, have fun bike. I'll probably ride some street with it, cruise around with the boys. But I love this thing. This has been my dream build, and this turned out exactly the way that I hoped that it would. And I'm going to do a little story time after this, so if you guys only cared about the specs of the bike, this is it, and then I'm going to do a story time about how this bike came together. Alright guys, well here's for story time. So as I told you, there's a big story that goes with this bike, so needless to say, this is my dream build. So I have been wanting to build an R-Dog Trek Ticket S for the better part of 5 years. So this bike came out in 2014. I wasn't in a position to be able to buy the bike, pay for the bike, have anything to do with it at that point in time in my life, and so I just had to watch it pass by, because Trek didn't make many of these. I think they only made, some reports say 50, some reports say 200. Mine is number 22 of the lot that were made. So anyway, so needless to say, so they sold out quick. Well, after watching a few of my friends have some success finding them, you can pick them up used, but man, I gotta be honest, like nobody really respected how cool this bike was when it got released, and it feels like some of the guys that built them up just built them up like trash, and I didn't really feel like spending thousands of dollars on some bike where all I was going to use off it was the frame, and then have to rebuild everything else. So I wanted to build this bike and do it right, and make it's a pro model. I wanted it just to be a pro level build, and I wanted to do it the right way. So I kind of put out some feelers. I have a good friend of mine that I gotten to know over the years. Actually, the guy that got me into my first Trek Ticket S. He let me ride his up in Wisconsin when we we had Rays in Milwaukee. His name's Vance. Anyway, so Vance works at a place where you might have some luck finding these things. And so a couple of years ago, I told him, I was like, hey, move hell or high water, but I need an R-Dog frame. Make it happen. And I was kind of joking, kind of hopeful. And about 6 months later, he shoots me a message back. He's like, "Hey, I got news. He's like, I got good news, bad news. The good news is I got you something, but it's not complete." So what he found me was the front triangle. So this was a brand new stickers on it front triangle. So it had never been built up. Still had the factory stickers on it and everything. And so he said, "Hey, I got you the front triangle, but then the rocker link, the seat stay, and the chain stay were all black, just the factory black color." So he said, "You're gonna have to kind of figure out what you're gonna do with it, but I'll get you covered from there." So so he sent me all that, and that was in February of 19. And so I've been sitting on the pieces since then, trying to figure out what to do with them. Whether or not I wanted to do the blue chainstay like it was from the factory, or try to make it match and everything like that. So what I kind of came up with was that since I couldn't have it be perfect, as in from Trek factory with these links perfect, I figured I'd put my own twist on it, and I got a hold of a guy that does some great local paint work. Guy's name is Nick Hand, runs TW Carbon, but he does really, really good, like premium level, pro level paint work. And I said, "Hey, so here's what I'm doing. It's kind of a dream build. I need some help piecing it together. Can you do these pieces?" So we kind of came up with this idea. I figured our dog would appreciate it, but it's just a nod to old Evel Knievel, and more recently Travis Pastrana, even the way he did his Indian when he did his record jump. But this is kind of what Evel did on his bikes. He always had the stars and bars running stripes on the back end and the gas tanks of his motorcycles, and I figured it just fit the build. So that's what we went with that. And then all this is all paint, so I'll do a zoom in here in a second and kind of show you guys, but this is all paint. So like all this is paint, the ticket back here is paint, the Trek is paint. So even on these here, on the front triangle, the factory front triangle, this is clear over decals for most of it. And so this is actually all just paint work, and so there's no there's no decal work back there at all. It's actually turned out really cool, but he did a great job matching it. And so now I've got it. It's not perfect, as in it's not the factory Trek model, but it's my own twist on it. And I think our dog would think it's cool too. So got that built up, and then on the front end, every bike that I build, and one of my favorite things about building a bike is putting finishing touches on it. So if you see the fork and the shock both have custom decals, and I'll pick the camera up and show you guys here in a second, but it's a custom decal set from my buddy Rich at Stickered, and he does all my bikes for me. So Rich has done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6 bikes now. Decal sets, always fork decals, sometimes shock decals, sometimes frame decals. He did my Ticket Hardtail race bike back there as well. It's one of my most favorite things to do to finish a bike. One is because I finally got a guy that I just ultra trust. I had to send him, "Hey man, here's my vision. Here's my vision for it. Collaborate what I need with these 12 other images," and he nails it every time. We go back and forth talking about, "Hey, can we adjust this, twist that?" And I think collaboratively between the two of us, we come up with some really cool stuff. But Rich is one of my most favorite artists of all time. If you guys are doing a custom bike build, you need to have matching fork decals, shock decals, wheel decals if they're off. But you got to get a hold of the guys at Stickered. The work is top notch, and it turns out really, really, really good. So I highly suggest that. And then with the rest of the bike, it was pretty much just let's build this the right way. Let's build this as if this bike was going to be ridden at Crankworks or something like that. So it's a pro level build, and it's my dream build. I mean, if you guys know me, you guys know I love all things stars and bars. So when this frame came out, man, it nailed it for me, and I just absolutely could not wait to get my hands on it. And I've spent the past 5 years figuring out how to do that. And thanks to some good friends, Vance and others, I was able to make that happen. So I am so stoked on how this bike turned out. I can't thank you guys enough for watching this video and listening to me ramble about a nerdy bike that I built. But I'm going to keep doing some of these bike reviews. I got more coming. But here, I'll show you a couple of the pieces. So the decals on the stickers on the fork really are what set this off. So he goes over everything. So from the pike decal, the fork legs, even the rebound decal, it's just perfect. And then the same thing with the shock too. So the shock, this looks like that could have been a factory decal set, and that's what I love. I love the idea of that OEM plus look, where you're really not quite sure if it's factory or if it could be factory. And then here's the detail work on the paint. So this is all, this is kind of my idea, executed by TW Carbon here in St. Louis. But I think for the whole build, I think it turned out really cool, which is really why I had to have that white fork. Some of you guys saw me talking about needing a white fork a few months back, and there was a long story to get it, but I did, and I made it happen. So, but I think the way it all turned out, I think this was absolutely perfect. All right, thanks guys. Here's my my Trek Ticket S R-Dog Pro model with my own twist on it. Cheers, guys. See you at the